Hey guys, welcome to the HVAC Diaries. This episode of the HVAC Diaries is brought to you by New Calgon. How are you guys this week? Did you have a good week? This week is my second to last vlog. I've got one more after this before going to school. I actually started studying a little bit this week. I opened up my binder from last time, opened up my books, my cheat sheets, everything. I am so overwhelmed. I am so nervous for going to school. There's just so much to know for an exam. Anyway, but that's not why we're here this week. We're here for HVAC adventures. And this week was actually pretty busy. Well, we were at the same job site for a good 2.5 days, call it 3 days in total, because we were installing two separate 3-ton ductless split systems in a liquor store. So yeah, that ate up a lot of our time. The liquor store is about an hour and 15 minutes from our office with good traffic. And there's a stretch of highway that we have to go through, which is notoriously slow and like accident prone. And anyway, so kudos to my brother for driving us there and back every day. We started early, we ended late. Long, hard days, but great success. We are done there. I'm actually going to leave that story for the end of the vlog. I have just a couple more other adventures to tell you about before I get into that one, so stay tuned. The first one I'll talk about is a water source heat pump unit. I know last vlog I was like, oh, I haven't worked on one for so long, and now we've got 2 in a row. But anyway, so this one was just short on refrigerant. When we arrived, we found the unit locked out. You know, when there's on the control board, there's a little flashing green light that flashes pretty quickly. Bloop, 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 bloop. So that means A, the unit is locked out, and B, there is a fault in the memory. So that's when you jump out those 2 little test pins. You just use a little metal screwdriver, touch them together, bridge them out, and then the unit will click a certain amount of times. All right, so we've got 4 flashes, 4 ticks. We're just gonna compare that. Yeah. This time we had an FP1 fault, which is a freeze protection problem, which means that the evaporator coil had frozen up at some point, which was actually evident by the water stain that we saw on the ceiling tile. When I saw it, I was like, oh, looks like we froze up there. So yeah, freeze protection problem, which means low on refrigerant. We've actually topped this up before. We left a note. It was topped up in November of 2022. So almost, well, exactly 2 years ago, which is pretty good. This particular unit is an R22 unit, and it's actually been on our replacement list for quite some time, for months now. We quoted to replace that sometime last year. And for some reason, there's just a delay on getting that unit, because it's I need a certain size of unit and a certain configuration, like where the return air is on the left hand or the right hand. It's specific. Anyway, that's a really long-winded way of saying we are waiting for the replacement unit. And I'm so nervous that it's going to come when I'm at school and I'm not going to be part of that replacement. FOMO is already happening, you guys.
We parked on the wrong side of the train tracks.
I'm doing it. I'm going around. See you guys later.
I'm waiting.
I don't know. Who looking at this? I don't know. We're just guessing.
All right, let's get some work done. And I left this in just to show you the struggle.
Oh, why is there?
One more screw. Don't know why I was making all of those noises.
Okay, that's fun. All right, so we've got 4 flashes, 4 ticks. We're just gonna compare that.
As I mentioned before, I had an FP1 fault in memory. So freeze protection 1, which means we're low on refrigerant. So we're just topping her up here. And like I mentioned before, this unit is slated for replacement as soon as possible. So we're just getting her up and running for now.
My other story for the week is a walk-in cooler at a pizza place. Their walk-in cooler stopped working. When we arrived, everything was running as it should have been, but the condensing unit was just so hot. And it's in one of those tricky places, you know, it's always on top of the cooler room, underneath a drop ceiling, so it's sandwiched between these 2 surfaces, and there's just nowhere for the air to go. So I lifted a couple of the ceiling tiles and just kind of pushed them aside to give a bit more place for the air to flow through. I just don't know what's above it. So this. The condenser fan motor was running, but it sounded really bad.
Can you see anything obvious there, like bouncing around?
No, I mean... So we were like, should we proactively change it? Then we shut the system down for a reason, and when we turned it back up, the condenser fan motor was like almost not starting. So while it was making a terrible noise, but while it was running, it had a really hard time starting. So we decided, absolutely, let's change this motor right now. We had a motor with us. Man, it's just in such a freaking tricky spot. And the way I had to like be up there and just be in that area working, getting those little bolts out, man, I had the biggest bruise on my arm the next day. In fact, it's still tender. It's still bruised there, and that was a whole week ago. I'm gonna need it for putting it back for sure. They are loose enough to take off without a spanner.
And if I have a nut problem, will that work?
No, absolutely not.
No, just a spanner.
Okay. Okay, amazing. Oh my god, that's hot. Can I send it that way?
No. What's the problem? Why would you send it this way?
Oh, because it's not going to go the other way. Take it. Thank you. The day that we were there, we had this massive storm outside. It was so windy. And I was working on top of that thing. There was an electrical box right by my foot. And I was, I don't know, just like trying so hard to get that damn fan out of its place because I had to get these bolts off from the inside of the... Anyway, suddenly the power went out. And I was like, oh shit, like I've kicked this electrical box. I've caused some short. I've like the whole store's power went out. So
Because I looked inside there.
oh shit, I don't know, maybe my foot hit something.
Or they just lost power to the building.
Was that something I did?
I don't know how you would have done that. There's nothing up there.
I'm always like, oh, what did I do? It was my fault. Something happened. It's my fault. Something happens. What did I do? Like, it's an instant. It's my fault. It's my fault. What did I do? Anyway, turns out the whole block was down. Power knocked out of the whole block, which kind of sucked for us because then we couldn't check our fan motor after we replaced it. But anyway, so I finally got the fan motor out. Struggled to get the 4 bolts out with my hands through the thing like an idiot. Anyway, got them out. Then I found a family of dead mice up there. I pulled out 4 dead, crusty old mice. Oh, so gross. Holy fuck. Oh my goodness. It's fine. It's a dead mouse and it's dead. We're good. It's a whole family up here.
Oh, really?
Oh my gosh. You can take the mice, but then there's also a bunch of like really cruddy stuff I'm gonna take out. No, I have the other one that you gave me. Thank you.
Bence kendi yönlendirsin. Bir şey yapsın ya.
I'm sorry.
Almost that's a different motor.
So I just have to put that blade right at the end.
Yep.
Crazy. And this is where the real fun begins.
And then I was struggling to get the fan motor back in. The same reason for struggling to get it out. I had to get my hand like basically between the blade and into the thing. And there's just no, I have really tiny hands. So I don't know how a big dude with massive hands does it. Anyway, so I was struggling. I was losing my temper. Drop it. Okay. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. It's fun. This is fun. Oh god, it's so fun. Come on. I'm gonna cry today, I'm just letting you know.
You need me to come up there?
No, there's no place for anything. Sorry. There's got to be a better way to do this because this is stupid. And so Trevor came up there and he was like, oh, well, we can just remove the housing of, so we can get to the bolts from the other side.
Oh, there we go.
Are you kidding me? I've struggled with 3 out of the 4 bolts. And now we're gonna do the 4th one in so easy way. Oh my gosh, I was so angry. Anyway.
You good?
Yeah. I spent a good half a day at that wellness clinic where they had no dampers for their air movement or their airflow control in their space there. And that was also really hard work because everything was up above the ceiling space. Whenever I work with my hands, like, I guess above my shoulders, man, I just hurt the next day. My shoulders are achy, my neck. And then because of what I had to do there, I had to pull these really large zip ties around the flexible ducting, and you got to really cinch it up really tight. And that movement over and over again, my wrist is killing me right now. So they have 16 diffusers in their space, and so we decided to add a damper to each of the diffusers. Because at first she was like, well, just add them to the rooms that we want to dampen down. And it's like, well, if we don't add dampers to the other ones, those are just free flowing. So all of the air that you may want to direct into a certain place will just be free flowing into those ones without dampers. So we added one to each of them. And in some cases, I added a 90-degree elbow to make it easier for myself. And then other cases, I just went directly onto the plenum. Yeah. Alrighty then. Today we're adding dampers. To that, we got our elbow and our damper. So we're gonna get that on here. Up here. And then all of them. There's another one behind me. And then throughout this whole office.
These zip ties were so hard to cut.
There we go. Yes, it's perfect.
Most of these ceiling tiles in the space were so difficult to remove, and then to put back. I spent so much time messing with ceiling tiles.
Yes. Wow. That sucks. That sucks. Okay, that's done. Okay, I've done 2. That one is done, and this one is done. I still have to close that ceiling tile. Ceiling tiles have been a bit of a challenge. Oh my gosh, this job is really more difficult than it looks. Yeah, and it was tough. But out of 16 of the ones that I had to do, I got 12 done. Mostly because I started about an hour and a half before their clinic opened. But then by the time I was still kind of working and moving myself around, their practitioners started coming in. And then they started having, obviously, patients. And in one of the rooms, there's a bed for massages. And maybe they do meditation in there or something. I'm not sure. But I'm like, the last thing these people need is for me to be drilling while they're like meditating. Or maybe while they're pouring out their heart and soul to their counselor. I don't know. So we have to go back and finish the last few. But it's okay because we also have to change proactively the blower motor there in that furnace because it is so disgusting and crusty. We replaced the capacitor there a few weeks ago, got the thing back up and running, but we're like, with the condition that that motor is in, we do not want you guys to call us in the middle of winter time saying our heat's down because, again, they are a good drive away from us. So, and the motor is, well, it's a pretty big motor. It's one of those double shaft motors. So we're like, we don't want to have to do that in an emergency situation when you don't have any heat. So we're doing that proactively before it dies. But the furnace is from 1995. So yeah, hopefully we still get another few years out of it because it's in a really, really bad spot to change. Aren't they all, though? Okay, so our liquor store ductless split installation. What do I even want to say about that? I took a lot of videos. Okay, this is what I want to say about it. We do not do a whole lot of ductless split installations. Can you guys remember the last time we did one? I can't. Oh, it was in that house back in the summertime when we were in the attic. Regardless, we don't do a lot of them. So I feel completely like I don't know what I'm doing. And so I can never really anticipate what my dad and my brother are going to do next. I can't anticipate what I should be preparing to help them with this. Like, if we're doing a water source heat pump unit replacement, I know exactly what I'm doing and then what happens after that and then what happens after that. So I can just keep going and working and being productive and feeling useful. But this ductless split system, I felt completely useless. I felt like I did nothing at all. And that's a really frustrating way for me to work when I feel like I'm being useless, when I'm just like standing around or even worse, when I'm like, hey, can I start doing this? And then they say, no, we're not there yet. Or can I start preparing this? No, we're not there yet. Or no, we don't need that today. Or, oh man, I just feel so frustrated. Like, what am I even doing here? And that's definitely not the case. So Trevor saw that. He saw that I was being like very frustrated about this job. And he kind of took me aside and man, he's so sweet. He took me aside and he was like, you know, Jess, you did more than you realized you did. I just want you to know that you are more helpful than you realized. And I mean, I did get to do a few things. Like I wired in the indoor units. What else? That's it. I filled in the... Anyway, I did some tasks, but it was definitely my dad and my brother's job. Trevor really took the lead on this one. He was the one who did the site visit. He put together the installation plan. He did the quote. He ordered all the equipment and stuff. So that was his job, and he did a fantastic job. One little kind of side story, which I was going to put on my Instagram, which I will eventually, but you guys get a lot more information from me, a much more detailed explanation of what happened, and a lot of times on Instagram it's really quick and fast, but here I can explain myself a little bit more. So in the space that we had out there in the back, we didn't really have space for 2 condensing units. So Trevor did a bit of research. He spoke to our supplier and he was like, yes, there's this new stand that will accommodate your 2 units. So Trevor's like, please confirm we've got 2 3-ton units. Will they? Yes, they'll fit perfectly. This is going to be the solution for you. Perfect. We'll take one. And they're like, oh no, unfortunately, we don't have any of these in stock. They're coming in about 5 weeks time. Trevor's like, well, we're doing our installation job in like a week and a half. So the manufacturer of this thing, he reached Trevor asked me if I knew anybody at the manufacturer of it. I'm not sure if I should say the name of it. I mean, no, I'm not going to. So I reach out to my guy and I'm like, hey, any chance you can get me the stand? And he's like, let me check the warehouses in Canada. So he gets back to me. He's like, this stand actually isn't in Canada yet. He's like, let me pull some strings and see what I can do for you. And let's see if I can get it to you for the time of your installation. So he pulled some massive strings and the thing arrived by FedEx on Monday. And we took it to our job site on the Tuesday to use it. So this guy pulled some massive strings for me, like called in some awesome favors. He got me a sample. So like, anyway, just so grateful. And that's just the power of social media. I think there is so much power within social media that's not just about posting a picture and getting likes. Anyway, so when we opened up the box, we built this stand. We went to put our units on it, and you guys, the 3-ton units don't fit on it. The 3-ton units are just a little bit too large. So we had to make a very quick decision, and we ended up using it in a way that it's not really designed for. Basically, the stand accommodates 2 units. One sits on the bottom, and then one sits above it. But the 3-ton unit is too big to fit on the underneath. So we basically staggered them. So I have to speak to the guy now and say, okay, we've used this stand in this way. Is this acceptable to you? Like, I'm not really sure if it's designed for that kind of application. Anyway, we had to do what we had to do. So for the rest of the installation for this job, I'm just gonna throw the videos up. I'm gonna edit them all together. Maybe I'll do a voiceover and I won't explain too much here while I'm sitting here because there's more and I'm gonna forget it all. So I'll just show it to you. How about that? Let's go. Goodbye forever today. That guy is still staying, which kind of sucks, but out.
We're going to mount both of our units on the back wall. We decided to do the 5/8 line in hard-drawn copper lengths, just so that it was easier to move them around, just because they're long, straight lengths. They come bare, so we have to add our own Armaflex insulation. And to make it easier to slide it on, I use baby powder. It's a trick my dad taught me, and I made this little TikTok video about it. Just make sure that your pipe is closed so you're not getting baby powder inside your copper pipe. For the 5/8 portion that we had to bend, we used soft drawn copper for that, so it's easily bendable. Later on in the video, I'll show you where we've annealed in order to swedge the pipes. You've just got to heat up the pipes and anneal them. But we didn't want to do that for bending, so we've used soft drawn copper here. Next week is a short week.
that'll be up to the top of the ceiling. That'll
Yeah.
be sloping like that slightly.
Yeah.
And then this one will be further back like that.
This is the copper pipe that has been annealed in order to swedge. And here it has been swedged. How interesting. And here is the swedger. Hydro swedge.
That's solid all the way through.
We ran the entire 3/8 line in soft drawn copper.
Don't throw yourself under the bus like that.
Oh, it's so beautiful. Okay, we've wrapped up things for day one because it's getting really busy in here and we're running out of steam. We've been going at it since 6:30 with no breaks for lunch. We've got our 2 units mounted. This one's pretty much done, piped. It's got condensate, it's got electrical, everything. This guy has got a little bit more work to do, and then the outdoor units will be tomorrow's job. 4 p.m. gas station lunch. And the next morning, we're back on the road. $33.
That'll work. We gotta mount that thing right at the top.
If that unit fits inside that.
Yeah.
It did not fit inside.
Yeah, I
Everything
agree.
is level, but there's something wrong.
Yeah,
But it's all level. I don't understand.
yeah, there's that.
Everything is level. It's just I don't know.
It just
You know what it
looks
probably
like
seems
an...
more of is because that's on an unlevel ground, but that is level.
That's
and
not
that's
level.
level.
Eh? That's not level. No, it is.
Weird.
So what I'm saying is you're looking at unlevel and level, but unlevel but level. It's
Yeah, that's
your
just-
mind can't comprehend. There you go, mate. You fucking awesome. Want to go like that? No. What?
The PVC is for our condensate.
Above that strap, and then we'll go behind the pipe and start going down.
The electrician showed up at the same time, well, later on in the day, which was really great because he powered up our units. Now both of our line sets are done to the outside. We offered to cover the line set, but their preference is to actually paint it the same color as that ceiling space. So we're basically calling it a day here. That stand took up a lot of our time that morning, so that kind of sucked. And we'll finish off tomorrow. It was a late night back home.
All right, well, I've been doing those dampers. These guys have been getting this stuff done. It looks like we're vacuumed. It looks like we're adding a little bit of charge. Yeah. I didn't get to wire this up, which kind of sucks. But maybe I can do that, guy. Alrighty, another progress report. I've just come back, finished all of my dampers over there. Now everything is done. We are just about to commission the top unit now. And here's the final run. We went across on that black line, went through there, and our condensate comes out on the ground here. And there she is. Yes.
Just gonna use some new Calgon expanding foam to fill in that hole that we made from the inside to the outside.
All right, we are all running, all good. Everything's tightly closed up and beautiful. Just got a bit of tidying up to do, and we're out of here. Alright guys, well that's all the HVAC adventures I have for you this week on the HVAC Diaries HVAC vlog. I have one more before I go to school, so I'll take a long break and I will see you back early next year. Well, more like February next year. But I very, very highly likely will make a vlog at some point during my school, because I make these vlogs for you guys, but I also make them for me because I love, love, love sharing my content with you. The only thing that I can't do is speak about school in the way that it happens, because I've actually gotten into trouble for that before. I posted too much information on my Instagram and they were like, we can't have you telling people what we're learning each week. Anyway, it wasn't a big deal. Basically, okay, this is what I got in trouble for. I got in trouble for telling people the format of the test. So I said something like, there were 100 multiple choice questions and 5 identify the tools questions. And then I got called into the principal's office the next Monday and they were like, we can't have you telling people the format of the questions. So now I try to make sure that I don't post too much about school. But I'm also like, I also want to show you guys what school is about, because it's tough. And I'm trying to give everybody here like a very real look at this career. Anyway, I need to go. Bye guys, see you next week. Don't come off, you little suction cups. Don't come off. Okay. Okay. You guys here on the vlog get a much bigger, more detailed plan, or...
You should have 2. There should be just in the regular tool bag.
I'm an ass.
You have it?
I do.